All right, let's get started with lesson one. In this lesson, we're going to go over perennials and annuals. The difference between these two groups of plants are their life cycle. Okay, an annual has a life cycle that's either a season or a year, right? Hence the term annual. And there's biannual as well, but I'm not really going to get into those specifically or really talk about them as much because they're just not as common. Okay. Now, perennial is a plant that has a very long life cycle, right? These are, your trees, your bushes, onions, asparagus, strawberries, things like that come back on their own year after year and really require minimum input from us. Okay. Now, when I talk about input, what I'm speaking of is energy. Okay, because everything is really centered around energy. What we feed plants gives them the energy to produce. The more that we give them good stuff, the better they produce. The more nutritious that is, the more we intake it, the more nutritious of a diet we have, the better we are, the more energy we have, right? Everything in life, in nature, all living things require energy. And to create an environment for ourselves in a permaculture context, we want to really look at our energy inputs versus our outputs. Okay. And this is where perennials are our main focus in these systems. We do a little bit at first, we put in a little bit of energy to get them going, tending them, supporting them, whatever, right? And then as they grow, we don't have to put in as much energy because now they're taking care of themselves. It's a lot like raising kids. When they're young babies, little, we have to put in a lot of energy with them, right? And as we nurture and foster and they grow up, they become a little bit more self-sufficient and require less energy from ourselves and more energy from themselves, okay? And then it's on them, right? We just let them out the door, they go do their thing. So that's what perennials are. And we really want to use them a lot in our sites for that purpose, but also because they're awesome, right? They're self-contained. And these are our fruit trees, our nut trees. Like I said, onions and asparagus and all of this good stuff. And they reproduce and get bigger and more abundant over time. And so the energy that we put into them creates a larger yield. Okay. Annuals, on the other hand, kind of require a lot more of our energy to get them started, get them going, keep them going all the way through their cycle. Now, the benefit of having perennials and annuals together is that once the annuals die off, we can use them to help support the perennial systems. And this comes into planning in guilds or companion planning, as well as succession planning. Okay, and we'll cover this more in detail in a later lesson. But for now, we want to focus on understanding the differences between these two and the importance that they have in our sites and in our gardens. As we go through and learn the design processes, you'll be able to take those lessons and these lessons here as the perennials and annuals and shift and be able to make that design and determine what's going to work best for you, your site, your zone, all of that to really provide the abundance that you're looking for. At the end of this video, I'll provide a list of annuals and perennials that'll kind of give you a basic understanding between the two of them and kind of maybe, a guide to start with. Okay. But like I said before, it's all about creativity and what your goals are. So with that, let's get going on the next lesson.